Okay, just a quick video for an overview of a sword stand I'm making for my katana. What I've done here is this is just more of the same wood that we've been using that I had left over. This piece is 18 inches long that I've cut. This is what we're going to use as our base, so to speak. I want to be able to have a design that you can use for either a wall mount or a just standing on a shelf. So what I've done is I made it 18 inches long so that you can mount a 16-inch. If you go in an inch from either side, you'll have 16 inches apart, some mounting holes. Most studs are spaced 16 inches apart in homes, at least in the United States. So this will give you something that you could mount directly to studs if you want, without interfering with the actual sword hanging function. So that's why that's the 18 inches long came from. I wanted to have 16-inch mounting points and then an inch on either side for overlap. And the other thing I want to do is just try and dress up the ends a little bit. So I just took a big circle template and bloop, drew these big lines, and then took a smaller circle template and drew these inside cutouts. So it should dress it up just a little bit, make it look a little neat. And yeah, we're going to go from there. So that's the first step, 18 inches wide. So here's the sword stand base with the ends dressed up and cut out. You can do that with a coping saw. I just used a scroll saw real quick, so this is going to be a short project for me. And yeah, so that's all cut out, lightly sanded just to get the burrs and the spiky bits off the ends. Okay, so we're working on the standoffs now, and we're using the same width here, which is 3.5 because it's a 1/4 inch by 4 inch wide piece, but because it's stock, of course, it's shorter. So it's 3.5 inches wide here, and I wanted at least 2 inches at the top. So basically, I just took the same large circle template. It's always good to reuse your circle template so that the curves reappear throughout your design. So I just had that big curve go into 2 inches from the 3.5. So I got that, and our cradle system up here is basically working off of a 2 inch by 2 inch square. And what we want to do is we want to come in 1/2 inch on this top, come in 1 inch on this bottom part of the square, and come in 1 inch up here. And all we're doing is we're drawing a check mark from this 0.5 inch down to the 1 inch and out. Once you've done that little check mark, all I did was I took a 3/4 inch dowel, but you could do any type of, 3/4 inch square or circle. Probably even a coin of some kind would work. And I just put it all the way down in that little check mark, and then drew a circle all the way around. And then I threw it off of my workspace. Don't throw it off your workspace. And then all I did is I just brought the loop all the way up, and that'll be the lower curl, like I said, and then I'm going to curl around this top edge over, and that'll be my top. So that's what I was talking about, where it just kind of leans back a little bit. And yeah, so that's what we're going for. Now, if you were making a wall hang unit, of course, this would not be standing up like this, it would be off the wall like this. Just take the 2 inch square and turn it 90 degrees. So you would come in 1/2 inch up here, 1 inch down on the bottom, and 1 inch up on this side, and that would still leave you can see, enough room to have a side mount as well, while still keeping this 2 inch square system. So you can still use the same template whether you're hanging it or just putting it on a desk. So just remember just to turn this 2 inch square sideways, like so, and then you'd have your wall hang design as opposed to your desk design. So now we're just going to mount that. The mounting location for this is actually going to be 2.5 inches in from the outside of your post here. And it's just going to go pretty much sit just like that. There'll be a second one on the other side, but 2.5 inches in seemed to be good dimension for this, as long as it's 18 inches. Of course, if you made it longer than 18 inches on your base, then you need to come in and do the math to figure out where that's going to be. But yeah, so that'll give me enough room so that it won't hit on the handle of the sword. And it should display it nicely. So 2 of these, and then I'm going to make a center spreader through the middle here, and that'll help keep these from being all wibbly wobbly. So I'm going to cut those out, round them up and sand them down, and then I'm going to put a center spreader down. Alright, so I'm building the spreader now, and what we've got basically is I've cut it to 12 inches. That will line it up with my base. Basically I sanded it away, but you can just barely see the lines either side. So I've used a 12-inch spreader, and I want to do something special with it. I really can't go any higher than 2 inches, or I risk bumping into the sword. I mean, I can go a little bit higher, obviously, because this is the 2-inch, so if this is 4 inches tall, then I've got 2 inches above that, 2 inches here. So my highest point, I really don't want to go any higher than 2 inches, just so there's no interference whatsoever. So I also wanted to emulate what I've done on the base a little bit. So what I did is I took 2 inches as my highest point, okay, and I did this kind of, I took, again, that big circle template and made these little arcs here. Again, keep using those circle templates over when you can. It's a good design policy. And then here I'm actually just going to drill a hole through here and here to make these little cutouts. And then I'm going to loop them back up and then just go straight across at 1.5 inches wide all the way through. And I might kick it back up here just so it links back up at the 2-inch mark. But if not, this 1.5 inches will work just fine, 1.5 inches tall. So if you just want a plain header, or a spreader, excuse me, just go 1.5 inches or a 2-inch and just go all the way down. But I really wanted to have another place where I emulated the work I've done. So I'm just going to take a drill bit, like I said. I think I'm going to use a 3/8 drill bit and do these out instead of trying to cut them out by hand. It'll be a little bit easier that way. Drill them first and then cut them out. It'll make it a little bit easier. But yeah, so 12 inches wide for this, no more than 2 inches tall. And if you're going to do a wall hanger, again, this is going to be a desktop one that I'm making, so of course you'll see it like so. If you're making a wall hanging one, you may want to change this up a little bit. You may want to make it just a plain, regular spreader, just a rectangle across, and that'll just make it, you know, because you won't see anything but a point if you were to hang this part on the wall. But you could also, you know, do some edge detail, do a little trim work on in here. Mix it up a little bit, do something that looks neat. But I'm going to cut this out, sand it up, and see what it all looks like on a final mock-up. Alright, here's the final mock-up. This is about as far as I'll take this video, because all I'm going to do is glue all these pieces to each other and sand it all nice and smooth. But you can see how it is all supposed to fit together. You can see again on the wall mount section you still have plenty of room to mount to the studs or however. You can see how it would cradle the sword and kick it back a little bit. And you can see how the spreader, and the spreader of course is there just so that you don't have just these glue joints, because those aren't very strong, so that you have one extra fairly long glue joint there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know what I'm going to do beyond this. I might just gloss paint it and make it nice and shiny, or I may, depending on how well it sands out, and you know, once I get done sanding it down, I may find that I might get some stain on it instead. I haven't stained anything in a while. I've got the got some nice cherry stain, I think, that I'm going to apply to it. But anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much the sword stand in its entirety. You will see probably, maybe not the rest of it, but it won't be 100% done in the next video, but about to display the finished katana that I've been leading up to with these tutorials. But here's something that you can use if you had an extra board or something kicking around, some scrap material even, and make a little stand out of it to display your final product. So again, I think just as a recap, the pieces I used were just an 18-inch piece that was full width. I used a 12-inch piece that was only 2 inches tall, but you could get by with 1.5 inches. And 2 pieces that are full width by 4 inches tall for your standoffs.